Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show. I'm Patrick Soko, and today, as usual, we have a fully packed program for you, our dear viewers. Interesting enough, we are looking at the AFCON time when Zambia was playing against Tanzania in a must-win encounter, but we didn't. We managed to secure a draw. However, I will be asking that important question: can Zambia beat Morocco to progress to the round of 16? Is the question that we'll be asking, and want to be getting your perspectives as to you from you, our dear viewers, and we'll be glad to hear your opinions pertaining to the matter. What sort of tactics, what sort of attitude, energy is needed for Zambia to progress or to beat Morocco convincingly, or to even secure a draw and progress as the best among the best losers? That is our discussion today. And to just get started on the Camnet Breakfast Show, we'll go straight into our first segment, which is the Health Corner with Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya. Keep it on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya. So this week we are talking about yet another interesting topic. It's a condition that is very common amongst us, and we see it a lot in our communities, in the hospitals, and we're going to be talking about tuberculosis. It's an infectious disease and it's very easily transmitted from person to person. So we want to be able to understand exactly how does it come about and how is it that people can get this infection. And also we want to know what are some of the signs and symptoms of this infection, and how is it diagnosed and treated in the hospital, and also what can you do to prevent yourself from getting this disease called tuberculosis. So tuberculosis is a condition that mostly affects the lungs, and it's a condition that comes about from being infected by a bacteria called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So this bacteria can be transmitted from person to person, and usually people get it through that kind of transmission. So if you are exposed to somebody who has this condition and they secrete these aerosols that contain this bacteria in the air, and then you inhale that air and you end up getting the infection as well. So once you have this infection, it usually settles in your lungs and it will affect your lungs. So the primary place where you can get this, or where you have this infection, is in the lungs. Most people who have tuberculosis have pulmonary TB or pulmonary tuberculosis, which means pulmonary means the lungs. So they have TB in the lungs, and so the infection usually attacks the lungs and it forms some cavities in the lungs, causes some lesions in the lungs, and in some cases you can find that other people would get the infection elsewhere. So from the lungs, it's possible that the TB can travel to other places of the body as well. So it can go to any part of the body basically, so to the brain, to the stomach or the GI, that is the spleen, the liver. It can affect even the kidneys. It can affect any part of your body. It can affect your lymph nodes, it can affect your skin and cause some lesions on your skin. It can even affect your eyes as well. So this condition does not only affect the lungs, it can affect any other part of the body. The other common part that usually is affected by this condition is the spine, or the vertebral column. So people would have what we call Pott's disease, which is TB of the spine. So they would have this condition in the spine as well. So depending on whether it's a newly diagnosed condition or you are having it again, you can be treated differently based on how or based on whether it's the first time you are getting this infection, or it's a new infection, or it's an infection that is reoccurring for the second time or the third time. And also based on where it is, whether it's in the brain, whether it's in the back or the spine, whether it's in the kidneys or elsewhere in the skin, there are also different ways of treating it, and also different time periods of getting treatment for this condition. And also, these days now we are also having multi-drug resistant TB, where people who have had this condition before and they were given treatment and they did not adhere to their treatment, or they did not take the treatment completely, they did not complete the course of the treatment, they might end up being reinfected and have what we call multi-drug resistant TB, where they have this kind of TB that is resistant to so many drugs, the drugs that we usually prescribe for tuberculosis. So if you have multi-drug resistant TB, it means that we will have to use other types of drugs to treat the condition that you have. So basically what we are talking about today is that tuberculosis is an infection that comes about by being infected by a bacteria called Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which comes about because you have been exposed to somebody who has this infection. And so when the aerosols are released in the air and you inhale those aerosols that have got this bacteria, you can become infected as well. And the primary places where you can find this infection is in the lungs, but also it can go to any other part of your body. It can affect your kidneys, your liver, your stomach, your lymph nodes, your skin, your brain, and even your spine as well. So tomorrow we'll be talking about some of the risk factors. What are some of the risk factors? Are there people who are at risk of having this infection, and who are those people? So we want to understand what are some of the risk factors of TB, so make sure you watch again tomorrow. And if you would love to know more about so many other topics that we talk about here on the Health Corner on the Breakfast Show, you can also look at my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya on YouTube, and you'll be able to learn more about all these conditions. So make sure you watch again tomorrow. I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care of yourself, and God bless.
Well, there you have it. That was Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya giving us what she does best, and that's getting us informed pertaining to health matters. That is important, especially this time around. We have to make sure that we guard ourselves against cholera. We've been talking cholera because it has been topical. It is affecting various communities, and we have to be proactive to mitigate it. And cholera is an hygiene-related disease, so we have to make sure that we uphold good sanitation as well as a good hygiene for us to be safe and away from cholera. We have to also make sure that we keep our children safe and prevent them against cholera, because children really depend on us for us guardians to be able to overcome this burden. Now, moving on the program, we have to look at our next segment, which is the money market. This is where we get to know how the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. Let's have a look. Now, $1 is buying at 26 kwacha 20 ngwe and selling at 26 kwacha 71 ngwe. The euro is buying at 28 kwacha 52 ngwe and selling at 29 kwacha 08 ngwe. Now, we also see that the South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 380 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 41 ngwe. The Greater British Pound is buying at 33 kwacha 22 ngwe and selling at 33 kwacha 87 ngwe. Now, those are your money market updated this morning on the 22nd of January 2024 at 0732 as per finance institution that we do monitor. Remember that these however vary from one bureau the change to the other. However, the differences are not that big, they are just minor differences, and you could see there that the kwacha is still within the 26 range. It is the all-time high for now, especially in modern day Zambia, and we didn't expect that, and but however, it is how it is. But no matter how it is, we can only be optimistic that authorities are doing everything possible to make sure that the problem is rectified. And talking about the problem, it is the problem of the exchange rate, which is necessitated by the various factors. Talking about factors, we are preview to the fact that it has to do with our export portfolio. How much do we export compared to what we import? So if we are going to be more dependent on imports, then it means we are exporting more dollars and not bringing more dollars. But if we are exporting, it means we are importing more dollars, and that goes towards supporting our currency. So we can only hope that the central bank and the Ministry of Finance will keep on putting in place interventions to just stabilize the currency. And for now, we have to move to our next segment where we get to know how I'll look at other stories that have been making the headlines here on the Camnet TV menus as of last evening. That's where the segment we call Zooming the Headlines. Before that, though, I want to make it clear that today, our dear viewers, we have dedicated the show to the Chipolopolo boys who are participating in the ongoing AFCON, and we had an interesting game yesterday, a game that most Zambians anticipated that the Chipolopolo boys would do us a favor by winning to enhance their chances of progressing to the next round, which is the round of 16. But however, we do see that it was not actually possible that we secure an automatic qualification as of yesterday, because we saw Tanzania holding us to a 1-0 draw. However, it was not just a 1-0 draw. It was a game full of controversy. It was a game that we saw us trailing in the first few minutes of the first half, and we were trailing by a goal to 0. And we were not playing like a team that showed any zero interest to really come back into the game. So, and we ended up having another red card, and that is through Lodrikawe, who was given a first yellow card after an offense, another unnecessary yellow card, and he was then sent off the pitch, and Zambia had to play with 10 men against 11, and that was quite a daunting task to say, but we did manage to find the back of the net through Patson Daka, and that was the only consolation that we could only come up with, and that was having a draw. Before that, we also saw that DRC played to also a 1-0 draw against Morocco. Now, the biggest question that we have here is that are we going to manage to beat Morocco? That is the question that I'm asking here on the Camnet Breakfast Show. So these are how things stand, if you see. So are we going to manage to emerge victorious? That is how the question that I'm really asking. And we are going to be looking at these fixtures over and over today, so that we continue to remind each other of what is expected of us. So if you see there the games that we had, you can see that as of yesterday, we saw that we had that is Tunisia up against Mali, and they played to a 1-0 draw. And we also saw that Morocco and DRC played to a 1-0 draw. Zambia up against Tanzania, it ended 1-1. And we also saw South Africa against their neighbors, there. They did wonders, and they managed to win this encounter by actually a margin of four goals to 0. And we also saw that these are the games that we have played yesterday, and today we are also having other games that are going to be played. We are going to have Nigeria up against I'm unable to see this team properly though. Then we also have Equatorial Guinea up against Ivory Coast. We have Cape Verde up against Egypt. We have Mozambique up against Ghana. We have Gambia up against Cameroon, and Guinea also up against Senegal. That is tomorrow. We also have those are some of the games that will be played tomorrow and today. Interesting fixtures that we have. However, today we are interested to talk about the Chipolopolo boys who are actually playing, who were playing Tanzania, their neighbors. South Africa managed to overcome their neighbors. On our part, we failed to do so because South Africa and Zambia are among the giants of the Southern African football, and South Africa managed to beat Namibia there. And we see that we have a tough encounter in Morocco that is coming up on Wednesday. So we just have to keep our fingers crossed and hope that our boys will come to the party and play the good football that we expect. So I'll be getting your perspective, your calls here on the Camnet Breakfast Show, so that we get the analysis of you, our dear viewers, pertaining to how we have played this far here on the Africa Cup of Nations, and what should be the way forward in terms of us getting a redemption out of this. So I'll be getting your perspective here on the Camnet Breakfast Show. Remember, you can also go on our Facebook page, give us that comment. We started this conversation last evening on our Facebook page, and we are continuing with it here on Camnet Breakfast Show. And now moving on, we are going to look at some of the stories that were making the headlines, and when we are done with that, we get interacting and analyzing Zambian football and how we have, if at all, we have the chances of progressing to the next round of the tournament. Now we start with a story where the opposition Green Party has expressed doubt about government's deal with International Resource Holding Limited, questioning its ability to reach the target of 3 million metric tons of copper yearly. On December 2022, the government disclosed a 49 stake in Mopani, with IRH holding having 51% and investing over 1.1 billion as a strategic equity partner. Party President Peter Sinkamba raised concern about the limited information available on the deal. And another story where government has cautioned local authorities against allowing the creation of new unplanned settlements. And we also have a story where Zambia Police Service commanding officer for Serenge District for Serenge and Chitambo districts, Christopher Chiwe, has urged the residents to refrain from harboring criminals. Speaking during a ceremony where Senior Chief Kankomba Walala the third distributed essential items to over 150 elderly and disabled and persons with disabilities. Mr. Chibuye emphasized the importance of residents contacting the police for prompt response in eliminating crime in Serenge. So we are going to look at these three stories, and when we are back on the other side, we'll be looking at the game between Zambia and Tanzania. Let's get interacting. We want you, our dear viewers, to analyze the game.
On 22nd December 2023, government announced an affiliated company of Abu Dhabi International Resources Holding, RSC Limited, as the new strategic equity partner for Mopani copper mines. As per agreement, IRH is, among other things, expected to inject funds into the mining company, which will be used to stabilize short-term working capital, fund the completion of the mining development projects, restructure its balance sheet, and reset the existing relationship with Glencore. This agreement excited Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema, who described it as a game changer, especially to the people in Copperbelt province.
The Mopani transaction has been signed. Volumes Mopani, KCM, Shaft 28, 1.5 billion in Shaft 28, all of that stuff. Copperbelt will be back where it should have been, and more.
But opposition Green Party President Peter Sinkamba has expressed doubt that the government deal with the International Resource Holding Limited will not meet the desires of the mining sector.
So for us, we would have loved to see the numbers. What is this transaction? What are the agreements? So that even when we say, okay, colleagues, we are going to achieve the 3 million tons of copper, including all that which Mopani is going to contribute, it will be a very, very objective kind of statement. So now, as Green Party, we are highly skeptical that that transaction is going to boost the production of copper and make the investor happy, make the people of Zambia happy, make government happy.
Mr. Sinkamba also alleges that the deal falls short of information meant to address existing challenges such as that of Glencore.
Investor will mine and give Glencore to sell on behalf. That was a security clause which they put in to make sure that we get back their money. Understand? So when we look at the numbers which government was announced that this company has given government $600 million, or will give government $600 million, and then that company is going to invest another, is it $400 million? Okay, so now, meaning that the only money available to repay Glencore is only $600 million out of the $1.5 billion. Of course, for us, we think that whole transaction is a loss because we don't even know where government is going to find the $500 million to top up to pay for the old loan.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Chimbichi ndocho ningamye bako mwebe karachalo ukwipana ukabolala tuleke Ulia ticha baipe panyuye fwe bantu fwe bene fwe karachalo nfo tulepokele abantu abalefu makumi muleke ngamwa mune chipondo cha isa wangu mwatu tumina foni bakapukola mwatu weba amalambala yandi kuntumina po it's 0977 75 87 78.
Shanty compounds, locally known as combons, are informal housing compounds which are characterized by low income and high population density. Among the unplanned human settlements in Lusaka, Chibolya, Misisi, George and Kanyama top the charts of being the most populated townships in the city with poor standard roads and drainage systems. In order to respond to the current unplanned settlements, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has committed itself to enforcing the Urban and Regional Planning Act No. 3 of 2015. In a press statement issued 21st January 2024, Local Government and Rural Development Minister Garin Kombo says the act will be key in addressing unplanned human settlements in the city and weigh on possibilities of relocating some families.
Specific reference to the capital city of Lusaka. One of the interventions in upgrading the unplanned settlements to proper suburbs will involve the identification within the outskirts of the city pieces of land for possible resettlement of our people. This will facilitate for what is lacking now in terms of...
Mr. Nkombo further cautions local authorities against the creation of new unplanned settlements, but embrace the culture of comprehensive urban planning to ensure sustainable development.
This also goes to the local authorities, propelled by councillors and officers who are the agents of the Ministry of Lands in parceling out land, that we will not tolerate anything that is outside the integrated development plan that has been developed for about 45 local authorities, and we are at this point moving toward development of the integrated development plans for the remaining local authorities in our country. We are very hopeful that once we achieve this, we are going to be forgetting these constant outbreaks of waterborne diseases such as cholera.
The Urban and Regional Planning Act No. 3 of 2015 is an act that provides for the development, planning, and administration of principles, standards, and requirements for urban and regional planning for the country. Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Well, so there you have it. Those are some of the stories that were making the headlines there pertaining to the Camnet main news as of last evening. And that was a Green Party leader explaining his concerns pertaining to the deal of Mopani, and that other story there where the police commissioner was also urging the people of Selenja district not to be harboring criminals. Those are among the stories that we looked at in our first stanza of the breakfast show. We'll be looking at other stories that are making the headlines, but now the phone lines have been opened. We can get interacting pertaining to your perspective. We want you as citizens to analyze Zambia and give us your perspective pertaining to how Zambia has performed at the AFCON this far, and going forward, if you think we do have chances to progress to the round of 16, if at all we are able to go past and that's Morocco, and also on the other side, pray that things do not go the way of DRC. But how guaranteed are we regarding that? That is another important question that we need to be answering. So we will be getting your perspective here on the Camnet Breakfast Show. So give us that call and let's talk football. And do you think we have chances of progressing to the round of 16 by beating Morocco? I know there's also another chance that we may qualify under the best losers, but there are only a few teams that have to qualify under that, and we have to demonstrate really that we are best losers. But how can we make sure that we secure those slots? Being the best, going through as best losers, or beating Morocco and secure automatic qualification? Well, those are the two options that we do have to progress to the round of 16. Remember that Zambia was playing against Tanzania, Morocco was playing against DRC, and both games ended in 1-0 stalemates. So we see that it is quite a tricky group that we are in, and that so far it is only Morocco who managed to beat Tanzania convincingly, and to be able to accumulate those 3 points, and the Morocco goes to 4 points after drawing with DRC. And for us and DRC, we managed to secure 2 draws, so it means that we are on 2 points each, DRC and Zambia, and Tanzania are on 1 point, which they got through the encounter against Zambia. So now, do we have a chance of progressing to the next round is the question that we are asking. So the number are on your screens in case you want to join the conversation, and let's get interacting here on the Camnet Breakfast Show. Now, moving on, let's also look at another story where we have Education Minister Douglas HICHILEMA has encouraged Mayembe residents in Shuangandu district to utilize the implementation of free education policy under President Hakainde Hichilema's administration. Mr. SHIKAPWASHA emphasizes the importance of parents fostering a commitment to sending their children to school, asserting that education serves as a powerful equalizer. Speaking when he addressed residents in the Lukaka area, Mr. SHIKAPWASHA says education provides privileged children with opportunities on par with their privileged counterparts. So let's have a look at this story and we'll be back on the other side.
President Hakainde Hichilema apanga free education tepsha twale n'abaana benu ku school takuli ati twikala kumushi uyu mwana kwa Lukaka efyo mumwene kutayisa aba doctor limbu uyu mwana oyo kutayisa aba engineer kutayisa aba pilots no kwensha president kuno kwa Lukaka
Ule imechiso.
Ifo tuleruisha na inena alingoyo mumushi kumushi na lenda 15 kilometers every day 15 kilometers, meaning that 6 hours kwa kusukuru 6 hours kwa kunganda grade 1 is different 6 years mukupitana mu school na sa ku secondary school mukupitana mu school na sa ku university na ku university na ya kufyalo kukubelenga from 6 hours of walking today indeke da pele ndeke itwala fie 1 hour kufika kuno, so that 15 kilometers yaba reduced kuli 1 hour. Zambia pano mumwene pano nalisambirisha muma university ayengi sana for 30 years from a village This is why the president is saying all the children, whether they have parents, all over wisona banoko tabako atenda lama kabia ni school.
Yes.
Wala mulipile. Elo kuno kuine, as an education minister, we are now expanding schools. We are looking forward to building more secondary schools so that abana bela ya kuma school yambi.
Well, there you have it. That was the education minister there, Douglas SHIKAPWASHA, emphasizing on free education. However, I have a lot of good comments there on our Facebook page pertaining to our topic of discussion, where we are looking at Zambia up against Tanzania and Zambia's future encounter against Morocco. And I have comments here, and I'll start with the view from Zondan MP II. It says, Oosh, laugh out loud. No big. The question that I've been asking is, can Zambia beat Morocco? So now here we go. No, big no where football is concerned. But on 2 consecutive times, we have seen coach experimenting with the squad. Morocco is beatable, but not by an inexperienced squad like Chipolopolo. Let's just concentrate on public health impediments like cholera and devastating armyworms ravaging our fields. That is on the way they are giving his perspective. We also have Henry Lungu, who says, yes, we can, but only if the coach uses the right players and a good formation, not chipante pante. Then Yvonne Chiwe says, we can very possible. Those boys have football. Vaipangafie, they can deliver. At Vaipangafie, that's Yvonne there. Thank you, Yvonne, for your comment. And Namakondo Nyambe says, yes, we can, only if the coach should use a defensive game. Okay, that's Nyambe. They are giving us his her perspective. Let's pick this analyst now. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. I think we can hardly communicate. I think it should be a technical glitch. So I was reading some messages there before that call. But you can still call us and give us your perspective. We want to hear from you. Naomi Roberts says, no, the way they were playing today, missing so many opportunities, that Naomi is refusing that Zambia cannot beat Morocco there. Then we have Yopoka Musika Musmuko Piri, and she says, yes, as long as we prepare adequately, and that's a positive by Miss Piri there, saying we can't beat Morocco if we prepare adequately. Then Crispin Mwembela says Zambia can win with a good referee. Oh, okay. So, Mr. Crispin, you think the referee has not been on our side, and that I think that is in reference to the referee who was officiating yesterday's match against Tanzania. So, and we have Kenny Zulu who says, yes, it is possible, but if we need is a draw, then we are through. Okay, we have a caller. You are through to the program. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
I can hear you.
You can go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I'm putting us in the game of playing again.
Mm-hmm.
We got beat for Morocco if so we're going to use the game starting lineup. So that was Madala was sitting in the game. We shouldn't go for him. Let us go for Portugal. Let us look at the skill. But if you look at the team Samoa was completely down. Emmanuel was doing nothing in the game. At least if you look at the tournament that we did, it's brought some data that they went to help us but if they look at the rest of that, the FIFA, they feel there's not difference in the game. And again, if we talk about the was down. If you don't think the game would have put it as it was. Of course, it's taking too much time to make them feel it. So, you don't know if we make changes in time, yes, there's hope we can beat Morocco. I know that they can do better at that. So, I don't think that the debate in time, we can do better at what we did yesterday. Although was not better lately. So, what we are wanting and looking for is that we make some changes and we'll be able to beat Morocco.
Thank you very much for your contribution there. Well, you too can give us your perspective. Our previous caller just said if we use the same lineup, definitely no, but we have to make some changes for us to win the game. And you too can give us your perspective. We want to get you, our dear viewers, as analysts today on today's show, to give us your perspective pertaining to how you think some of the changes we need to be able to compete favorably in the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations tournament, which is being held in Ivory Coast. So you too can come through and give us your comment on the program. We want to hear your perspective. And let's also listen to the story where Opposition Patriotic Front Central member of the Central Committee, Dr. Keishas Banda, has urged the Republican President HICHILEMA to prioritize addressing national challenges rather than engaging in political matters and depending on debt restructuring. Mr. Banda has advocated for local solutions, suggesting that adjustments to the mining sector's taxation policy and emphasis on self-sustainable growth activities to enhance the country's economic prospects. He says that the country is well positioned to improve its economy by relying on local solutions. Let's have a look at this story. We'll be back on the other side. We are getting your comments and analysis on Zambia progressing to the round of 16. What sort of intervention is needed for us to achieve that aspiration? Let's zoom in this story. We'll be back on the other side, and keep those messages coming on our Facebook page. We'll be glad to go through them.
Way too high and affordable. People have no money in their pockets. The purchasing power of the kwacha has gone. Things have fallen apart. So let him focus on that. And you see, he's so occupied with debt restructuring. Look, there are other solutions. Just change the taxation policy on mining immediately. The forex will improve, the inflow will improve. Same level of demand for forex with increased inflow, you see, the kwacha will appreciate. The purchasing power will improve. The cost of living will come down. Okay? So it's important that, we focus on growth activities in the economy like agriculture, mining, you see, education, tourism, sport, and things like that. This is, if we manage these things properly, we would bring in the forex. And the economy is owned by you, the citizen. The per capita income of Zambia will go up. The resource envelope of the state will improve. Poverty will end, cholera will not be there, the city will be remodeled, redone, water and sanitation, everybody will have access to clean water and clean and safe water, and people would have money in their pockets, affordable goods will be there, and goods and services will expand and grow. That's what's called economic growth. So there are things it can do other than debt restructuring to ensure that Zambia prospers. Searching for? Nchiyani kodi chavuta? Ubwidi umene tiruonetsa uyu ute ndife vantu ophunzira.
Well, there you have it. That was Dr. Canisius Banda giving us his perspective pertaining to debt restructuring and also calling for local solutions. But however, we are not being swayed from our main topic of discussion. We are sticking to the rules of engagement, and that is Zambia. And we are discussing the AFCON. Are we able to progress to the next level? Is the question that I've been asking and I'm asking. And some of you have managed to give us those comments on our Facebook. And I'm still reading through some of them. And in case those of you are going to manage to go through live, want to hear from you. And now, let me also lead other messages. I ended from Ken Zulu said it is possible, but we also need a draw. But however, Vic Simule says, let's stop cheating ourselves. It's impossible. We can't beat Morocco. That's a Vic Simule. Is categorical and says we cannot win against Morocco. And we also have Frida Lungu who says, yes, it can. It can. Have you seen Congo versus Morocco? It was a tough game. And that is Frida Lungu. Thank you, Madam Frida there. But Madam Frida has also attracted some reactions from people like Brighter Kalima Muchimba, who says, actually, Morocco was lucky. Yeah, Morocco was lucky. Yeah. Okay, so we have Bright Kalima who says, of course we can. And Alika Ndachibandava, who says very possible. And Dungani Chisenga says not with that kind of play which has no identity at all. And that is Dungani Chisense. who says not with that kind of play. Of course, I hope the coach was watching and is going to make those changes. Isaac Zulu says we can beat them. That's optimistic by Isaac Zulu. He says we can beat them. And we have Sebastian Mutila who says Kawe, it's a win. Morris Mpundu Musonda says yes we can. Then we have Kelvin Mwamba ZM says why not. Can Camnet revise the match between Morocco, Zambia and Morocco? Call me. Okay, we'll call you. Let's see what you want, what it means. We'll get in touch with you definitely. Then Abel Sandala says the Shikulu is the problem. He is too cautious. I don't know what Sandala means there. The Shikulu is too cautious. Maybe in terms of when to make those subs, when to make those decisions. Well, it is your perspective, and we respect your opinion. Every opinion counts, and every opinion matters here on the Camnet Breakfast Show. And we are talking Zambia at the ongoing AFCON. Are we able to progress to the next level is the question that I've been asking, and people are giving us their perspective. Joseph Mwape Gift says, unless through a taboo, yes, we can progress. And that's a gift there. Mutinta Muntali Lutangu says, that's not national team, please. How can you select players just from two the region? Sure, you can do better. We have Peter Besa who says, this one I doubt very much, unless that Zambia of Wenekalushabwaria. That's Peter Besa is also a doubtful citizen who feels no. It's a no for him. We cannot beat Morocco. Iva Simbele says nothing is impossible. He's optimistic. Nothing is impossible indeed. Vic Simule says we can't. He comes again. And we also have Jackson Mwene who says we are not gods. There, that sums up. We are not gods, so we have to be optimistic. I also give my perspective. Well, I think it's possible for Zambia to win, but of course with the right attitude, right direction, right formation, right strategy, right players. It is possible, but again, it's about mental strength. How mentally prepared are we to confront Morocco? Are we prepared psychologically? Are we ready to take them on? Are we going to give them that respect? No, we don't have to give them respect. We have to play against them. So it depends again, because I saw a lot of weaknesses in our team. I was still questioning and wondering to say, but why was RELOOK starting that match? Because I felt the previous match it did not do better. Even during the World Cup and Africa Cup qualifiers that we have played so far, it did not demonstrate that it deserves to be in the first lineup. Again, we saw him playing, and that was RELOOK. Until the coach could not substitute him with the first yellow card, until the referee had to help him do that with a red card. And when we played with 10 men, we seemed like a strong side, like a formidable side. And that's what I've been also wondering. And that's when we demonstrated a little bit of zeal or commitment when we were playing with 10 men. But when we were equal in the ground, in the pitch, we did not demonstrate any commitment to go for the goal. So that also raises suspicion. We also saw that Emmanuel Banda was not fully into the game. And I don't think he needs to start the other game. We also saw Kings Congo. I don't think he came to the party. No, he did not. And the other weakness I saw, is it Chepeshi? I think he tried, but too many passes that were not accurate, inaccurate passes, I think that he made. But better than Tandi Mwape, better than RELOOK. So if we look at those things, others are also suggesting Fashion Sakara. Yeah, not as aggressive as he should be as a striker. We needed to make Tanzania fear us or feel our impact. Well, we just managed to secure a point, and that's all we could get. We are getting your analysis, and continue giving us those messages on our Facebook page, and we're zooming another interesting stories there. We have a story where Kanyama constituency area member of parliament Monty Chinkuli has assured the residents of his constituency of improved road infrastructure. And we also have a story where residents of Mbore village in Kalomo district in southern province have appealed to the government to drill boreholes and water taps in the area so that they can have better access to safe drinking water. In an interview with Camnet News, one of the residents, Bishop Chorwe, explained that they are facing water issues and mostly rely on rainfall for their water supply. Let's have a look at these two stories. We'll be back on the other side. Keep it on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Proper roads must be done. But now the question that probably will arise is, do we have the capacity to come up with a third road? Because I think you ask engineers, they will tell you how much it is to do a 1 kilometer road. And looking at the CDF that we have, we on projects which I believe the road falls under a project. You are looking at a 30 million kwacha that has been given to each and every constituency. Now, what it is there is, if you do the components, that 30 million is the secondary school and skills bursary component. There are loans in there. There are grants in there. Then, from there, we've got a component of projects. Then, just roughly, out of that 30 million, we've got, I think, about 15.7 or 16 million. We have got 6 wards, of which each and every ward wants a take of that. Then we will divide that by 6, which will come to about 2.5 somewhere there. Right. Now, if you look at a stretch that needs to be done to be tied, you realize that maybe we only do 3 or 4 meters, that money is gone.
My names are Archbishop Chorwe. I'm a teacher in Chisamu. The problems that we have here is the problem of water. This government has done a lot of things, and among the things that they have not done so well, it's an issue of water. As I speak to you now, we are drinking water that is not good. We are relying on water that comes from the rains. We ask that the water is provided so that diseases are prevented. We live in fear of getting cholera because cholera comes from drinking dirty water. In addition, as it was stated earlier by my colleague, the roads in this village are very bad. Going to town is a challenge. People with vehicles have opted to park the vehicles for fear of their vehicles getting damaged. We ask the government to send graders so that the roads are repaired.
Introducing Kapi Lodges Kafiwe, a beautiful place to spend your night. At Kapi Lodges, we have affordable and comfortable rooms to meet your expectations. We are located along Kafue Road, Shimabala area. For more details, contact us on +260 979 476307 or +260 976 057123 or +260 764 700 003. Email capilodges@gmail.com. Capi Lodges, my second comfort, home.
Thank you for staying with us on the Camnet Breakfast Show. There you have it. Those are some of the stories that we were looking at pertaining to those that were making the headlines here on the Camnet Breakfast Show. So we have still on some of the stories that were making the headlines. We have another interesting story where Shangombo District Commissioner Mobita Siamana has underscored that the government's decision to increase the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, has had a significant impact on Shangombo District. During an interview with Camnet News, Siamana mentioned that several programs are currently being implemented in the district. He explained that out of 82 primary schools in the district, 54 were previously community schools with mud structures. However, due to the increased CDF, a good number of schools have been able to benefit in terms of infrastructure. Mr. Siamana has observed that the district is rapidly developing and keeping up with other already developed districts in the country. That's a matter pertaining to the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, and that's the District Commissioner explaining how CDF is working in that locality. However, is it the case in your locality? Is CDF bearing fruits? Those are some of the conversations that we need to keep going as a country. So now let's have a look at that story. We'll be back on the other side. I get more messages pertaining to the game between Zambia and Tanzania, and then we wrap it up after that.
That is significant. There has been and there is a number of programs running in the district. You may be aware that as a district we have about 82 primary schools, and out of the 82, 54 were community schools. That is poor and mud kind of structure. So the coming in of the increased CDF has seen quite a good number of schools benefiting in terms of infrastructure, benefiting, yes, in terms of infrastructure that is putting up or coming up with permanent structures. So we are fast developing, and we are rushing with time so that we are able to equal the already developed district around the province and Zambia at large.
Well, there you have it, and that was our last story pertaining to the stories that were making the headlines. And just a recap of what we've been able to look at here on the Camnet Breakfast Show this morning. We did start with the health corner with Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya, and we later move on to look at how the kwacha is performing against other major comparables, and we were able to determine that the kwacha is still at 26 kwacha against $1, and that is still a sad leading there that we continue to worry over as a country, because a weaker currency is detrimental to economic development. This is because, one, for those in cross-border trading, it means that they need to have more kwachas to buy a few dollars. So it is not good for business, and if you are importing your products, it means that you are affected. However, in every scenario, there are always winners and losers. So others are winning because of this, and others who've been saving dollars are happy with the status quo, who save their money in dollars. However, we just hope that the authorities will continue to put in place the measures to just stabilize the local currency, because it is an important economic indicator. If the currency is doing as fine, it means that we are well off as a people, as a country. And if the currency is not performing as expected, well, it means we are equally affected. Economists, however, have been given two versions of this story. Others have been of the view that soon there will be progress in this country pertaining to development, in that in terms of the kwacha rebounding. So they've been citing the progress, and the good news, however, that we should also take note of is that governments are managing to negotiate effectively and be able to find an equity partner for Mopani mine is a significant step towards making progress in terms of us being able to realize more revenue in the mining sector. And we understand that Vedanta KCM deal was also sealed. However, Vedanta is expected to fully take over by this year in terms of running KCM, and we hope that they'll be able to inject the necessary capital into the local economy and be able to, for us as a country, to be able to move in the right trajectory in as far as development is concerned. Because if those two mines are able to operate at optimum level, it means that we are going to have an expanded export portfolio that would enable us to earn a foreign exchange and be able to be in a safe zone as a country. That's talking about the mining sector and the kwacha. However, others have been concerned pertaining to the taxes or tax incentives that the government has given to the mining sector. They feel that it is not a sustainable intervention, and that it just gives the mining sector the more privileges that they have been having in the past, and that the country may not be able to reap the much needed resources to be able to foster development in various sectors of the economy. So that is pertaining to what others have been suggesting regarding this matter. However, we also see that quite other tax measures are coming into effect, and one of the tax measure that came into effect that was again most people were against was the levying of people-to-people mobile money transactions, which is being taxed. However, you are not taxed if you are buying directly, if you are exchanging money, or if you are transacting with the government or government services. You are not taxed at that levy. However, when you are sending from another person, let's say me sending to you, it means I'll be taxed, and that is the levy that was introduced. It took effect 1st January 2024, and we also saw a progressive intervention that was announced by this government, and that is a statutory instrument that allows the media to import equipment duty-free. It means that media houses and those in the communication business and the film industry are able to import goods and services, let's say equipment, without those taxes, and that is a huge boost to the media to be able to enhance productivity levels, in that to be able to up their game in terms of equipment, in terms of having the right equipment to use for production. So that is a good gesture that is coming through to the media. They also get something at the end of the day, and that is progressive. And me coming from the media and being a journalist, I'm equally happy with that intervention, because it provides relief to media houses to be able to bring or import cameras, to be able to import studio equipment that is imported at huge costs. Normally, if we are to pay all the taxes, but with this incentive that has been that was announced by the Ministry of Finance, and now ZRA has actually been presenting it and creating awareness around it. So it is important that media owners also get abreast with this intervention, so that they can benefit while they can, because it is also for a limited time. So let's take advantage of this window and let's get importing equipment. However, another tax measure that that remains unattended to is the tax pertaining to the informal sector. Time and again, there has been concern from the labor movement that workers are highly taxed, while the informal sector does little to contribute to the national treasury. And the ZRA understand that they were implementing what is called the base tax to be able to levy marketeers. However, this base tax, where they had a partnership with Zanamaka, which could not yield the most or the much desired results, and we saw them also partnering with local authorities to be able to be getting that base tax, and we are yet to explore how that measure pertaining to tax is being implemented, if at all it is achieving its intended purpose. So that is about tax. And later we did look at some stories that were making the headlines, interesting stories. We had pertaining to cholera and the Ministry of Local Government and Housing, talking about unplanned settlement and talking about really looking at issues pertaining to unplanned settlements. Unplanned settlements are areas like, for example, Mississippi, Chivodia, Karikiliki. Most of unplanned settlements, these are places where normally, initially, people do not need to reside there, but because of inadequacies, or let's say rural-urban migration, people are moving from rural areas to urban areas in search of opportunities, and when they come to these areas, they sometimes in fact, land is not readily available. So those places that were considered reserved for parks, reserved for as water recharge areas, are now being occupied by people, and people end up building anyhow without even consulting the local authorities. At the end of the day, you find that now, when it is rainy season, the consequences are there, and we have seen that people, for example, where the house submerges in water. But how is that possible? It's because you did not understand the terrain or the background of this land that you are occupying. So, and you just go and build your house in a dumbo and you expect things to be good. And again, we see that because of these unplanned settlements, drainages and utility services come late, and they come later after people have built. So even where to pass the drainage, it becomes impossible. It is the case in Kanyama, where when you start constructing a drainage, you end up into someone's house. So how do you address such anomalies? Now, we are yet to see how this government will implement that same program of trying to improve unplanned settlements, because I understand that previously, even the previous administration, we had what is called the slums upgrading project. However, the slums upgrading project did not see, was not implemented to its intended purpose, its intended aspiration, because if it was implemented, it had a deadline of 2015. I'm sure we would have made a lot of progress by then, but nothing was done. It was also talking about the same issues we're talking about: improving Kanyama, improving Chawama, improving Munari constituency, improving Matelo constituency in terms of those slums. But what did we do? We achieved nothing. The strategy was developed and the resources were not equal. That document is still sitting with the Lusaka City Council. If they are consulted, they are able to provide that. But how is this government taking over and be able to just make sure that they implement what was suggested? Because they were progressive ideas. And again, we had organizations like Habitat for Humanity, Zambia, and also the Civic Forum on Housing and Habitat, Zambia. They've been instrumental in talking about urban planning or town planning or issues pertaining to unplanned settlements. They've done a lot of papers, a lot of work pertaining to that, and they've submitted a lot of recommendations. But to what extent have we developed, have we worked on those things? The Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure, All those things were there. We have the national housing policy. How is the housing policy being followed to the latter? So now this cholera pandemic is now making us to react in this fashion. We'll react as soon as we contain the cholera pandemic. We go back to zero. So we are talking about implementation as this key and to the problems that the country is facing. This cholera pandemic we are facing requires a proactive approach for us as a country to be able to address it. But as usual, we are going to remind you, our dear viewers, to make sure that you observe good hygiene and sanitation. Make sure that you do not eat raw food, because they are also a catalyst of spreading cholera. Make sure that you eat in places that are conducive. Make sure that you sanitize your hands before touching food, before you eat. So this is where, unfortunately, I have to excuse the screen. This has been me, Patrick Soko, your usual host for the Camnet Breakfast Show. Until we meet again, keep it on Camnet TV, not just another channel.